Hey guys, what's going on? So today I wanted to address a comment that was left a couple of days ago on one of the videos by one of our subscribers. I believe his name is Milkman Ed. I'm gonna pronounce it that way. It's Milkmaned. So he left a couple of questions. I thought it'd be better to address in a video rather than in the comments section, where it probably get a little too wordy if I did that. So I'll read you the comment real quick, and then we'll try and answer it for him. So he says, first off, I love your channel, but I got some questions. Do you work? It seems fitness is your lifestyle. I have 2 jobs, 2 kids, 2 cars, a mortgage, bills up the wazoo. I wish I had the time or the energy, and he capitalizes both of those for emphasis, I guess, to consistently work out. I work out 1 to 2 days a week if I can squeeze it in, but then I'm sore for a couple of days. In other words, bills and family get in my way a lot. Do you have this issue? If so, how do you work around it? Well, first off, Double M, I want to say that I appreciate the fact that you're always interacting with the channel, watching the videos and commenting, and I really do appreciate that. So I'm going to try and answer your questions. I don't want you to get the feeling that I'm pontificating and it's not coming from a bad place. So hopefully at the end of this, you'll still be a subscriber to the channel. So as to your first question, do I work? I'm retired. I do some personal training part-time right now, but that's about it. But let me just back up a little bit. I'm no stranger to work, okay? I started working when I was 11. I got my first paper route at 11. You had to be 12 to get the paper route. I lied to the guy at the office, and I started delivering papers at that time. So I did my paper routes for a little bit, and then when I was 14, I started working in a pizzeria. And I did that for a bit, and the guy that owned that pizzeria, he had a cousin who opened up another pizzeria over in Manhattan, and I started working over there. It was right on 3rd Avenue, right in the center between 31st and 30th Street. So I did that throughout high school, and while I was over there, I hooked up with these Italian guys that were somehow connected, and you know, they were half-ass contractors, construction guys. So they had me working, also doing some grunt work, you know, some demolition stuff, and I did that, you know, pretty much throughout high school. Then after high school, I was taking some college classes, and I was working in a pharmacy, and I was this close to starting pharmacy school at the Brooklyn College of Pharmacy. And then it turned out that the guy I was working for turned out to be a pretty sketchy guy, so I got out of that situation, and that didn't pan out as far as the pharmacy school. So I wound up working in a factory that made patio blocks for a lot of the bigger stores like Home Depot and Lowe's. That was a horrendous job. I hated that. It was bad. But anyway, I did that for a little bit up until the time I was 21, when I went on the police force. And I was on a police force for 32 years. And in that 32 years, I never once worked just that job. I always had other jobs, and I was always doing other things. Now, if it wasn't working specifically with the department, you know, overtime, I was working other security jobs. I worked in factories, warehouses, retail stores. I drove shotgun on trucks for a liquor company. They had some issues with drivers getting robbed, so we used to drive shotgun on those trucks. And then at one point, I got my own commercial driver's license, my own CDL, and I started driving trucks. There's a Budweiser plant in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's right adjacent to the Newark Airport, and I used to deliver beer out of there. I drove trucks for did other truck driving jobs. I drove limousines. At one point, I got a barbering license, and I worked in a barber shop. And while doing all of that throughout my career, I also studied for several promotions, and I was lucky enough to get them. But that was extremely time consuming. The study time, it was extremely competitive, but I was lucky enough to get through it. But I had to invest a lot of time into that too. while working. Now, I say that because I tell you the backstory, because I also have 2 kids. I did work all of those jobs. I had car payments, college payments, school payments, all sorts of bills, just like everybody does. Most of us do. So it's not out of the ordinary. But during that time, I got my first gym membership when I was 18. And all throughout my life, jobs and all, I always found time to exercise to some degree. Sometimes it was more, sometimes it was less, but I always found the time to do something. So Double M, I think that that's going to be my biggest issue with your comment, the fact that you say that you can't find the time to do it consistently. I have a hard time buying that, to be honest with you, from anybody, not just you, so don't take it personal, because I've been there, and I think that if you want to do something badly enough, you'll find a way to do it, and I just can't, again, because I did it for 30 some odd years. I was running around, I was on the gerbils wheel, I had the kids, I had the bills, I had all of that, and I had the jobs. But I always found time, for myself, that 30 minutes or that hour here and there, just to do it. I think it's a necessity. I think from a physical and mental standpoint, because it's been proven that it does have, benefits mentally as well as physically. So the bottom line is, for anybody to say that they can't find 30, 40, 60 minutes here and there, in their day. I think if you're honest with yourself and you sit down and examine your day, examine your week, and say and it comes down to time management. I'm 58 years old and I still suck at time management. I've always been bad at it, but I still try and put effort into doing it, and I think that's what it takes. It's a time management thing, and really it's. Do I want to do it? Do I really want to do it? I get it. I understand. Exercise is uncomfortable. It takes you out of your comfort zone. You do get sore from it. You sweat from it. It can be a pain in the ass. But at the end of the day, I think it's a necessity. And I have no doubt that if you're honest with yourself, and if you just get yourself a cup of coffee and sit down and just, do some thinking and say, can I really find a half hour? I think you're going to tell yourself, and I think you're going to realize that you really can. You can do it. You can find the time. We all can. So as far as fitness being my lifestyle, being healthy is my lifestyle. Being as healthy as humanly possible is my lifestyle. And I'm going to put every bit of my effort every day for the rest of my life into doing that. I realize now, as you get older, when you start having a little more runway behind you than you do ahead of you, you start looking at things a little differently. And my main goal, again, is to keep myself as healthy as possible. One of my biggest nightmares would be to ever be a burden to my kids or my family. So I want to keep myself as healthy as possible. I want to teach my kids, more importantly than anything, I want to teach my kids how to be healthy, how to stay healthy, the importance of being healthy. I think I've come to grips with the fact that I'm not going to have millions of dollars to leave to my kids when I go, but I'll go to my grave a happy man, knowing that I taught them how to keep themselves healthy and stay healthy. I'd much rather leave, 2 extremely healthy paupers than I would, 2 fat, sick, unhealthy, rich kids. And make no mistake, you're the example. You are the example. And I don't care what you tell your kids, what you say to your kids are going to do what you do, as opposed to doing what you say. Okay, so you have to set the example. So I want you to keep that in mind when you tell yourself, I just can't find the time. I just can't do it. It's so hard to live a healthy life. It's so hard to make healthy choices. you're not making these decisions just for you. You know, the last thing on earth that I ever want is to become unhealthy. And if I do, it's not going to be from lack of trying, I promise you that. But the last thing I ever want to do is become a burden, you know, to my kids or anybody around me. So that's one of the biggest, probably the biggest driving force as to why I do what I do. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, you know, when you see me doing my workouts, and I'll never say that vanity doesn't play a part. We all want to look good. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your physical health, your mental health. Trying to set the example for your kids is probably the biggest thing. So that, again, should and hopefully will cause you to really sit down and examine things and say, you know, do I really not have the time? You know, can I really not figure this out? And again, I think you can at the end of the day. So just to wrap up here, Double M, so we don't get too long-winded. You say that, you know, your bills and your family kind of get in your way a lot. I'm not going to buy that one either. I think what's getting in your way is your mind, is your own head, your own thought processes. You know, again, it comes down to, if it's something that you really want to do, you'll find a way to do it. So, you know, I would just say to you, you know, again, like I said earlier, sit down, do some soul searching, you know, really examine what you're doing, how you're living, what choices you're making. Look at your day, look at your week, and you'll find the time. The time is there. The time is there. It's just what, you know, your drive, your motivation. Do you really want to do this? You know, do you really want to do it? If you're not at a point, you know, it's almost like, you know, an alcoholic or a drug addict or a gambler. You don't change until you hit rock bottom. If that's what it's going to take for you, you know, hopefully it won't take that. You'll make the realization and you'll make the changes before that. But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. But it's not your family and it's not your bills that are in the way. You can rearrange things, you know what I mean? But once you flip that switch and, you know, you become so unhealthy that it's almost, and it's going to play on you mentally too, and you're just going to feel like I could never dig myself out of this hole, and it's just going to get tougher and tougher. So you have to make the decision to do it. You know, again, you have to build the habits, and you can do it. You can. It's not your family, it's not your bills that are holding you back. It's what's going on in your head. Okay, so you have to get that figured out. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. Again, you know, I just want you to know that everything I've said to you is coming from a good place. I hope it helps you. I really do. You know, again, I do appreciate you always interacting and commenting on the channel. I hope you stay safe and healthy. All you guys, I appreciate you listening. Everybody go have a good day. Get your workout in. I don't want to hear that you don't have time. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.